Welcome, everybody, to You Inside You, where you get to recognize and know and trust the voice of your true self.
Yes.
Today, I have a very special guest, a friend of mine who actually lives really close
I
to,
know.
to where I live
Yeah.
here in Florida. And I'm really honored for her to take the time today to be with us today, to share her knowledge. It is Valeria Koopman. She is the founder of Fit for Joy, host of Quest for Wellbeing podcast, and the author of 3 books. My goodness. Fit for Joy, Inner Peace and Clarity, and a Non-Dual Definition for Love. Love that title.
Yeah.
She's also the student of Vedanta, Sen's mom, and a fitness enthusiast. I
Yes.
know that about you as well.
Yes.
So welcome to the stage, Valeria. I am so excited to chat with you today. Tell me a little bit
Oh my
about
God. Thank you
you.
so much. Yeah, that's that opening question. Thank you so much for having me, for
Hmm.
the invitation. This is beautiful. So about me, that's a question that on my podcast I usually ask all the time. Who are you?
Yes.
How would you describe yourself in this very moment?
Mm.
And I love that question. I can't stop asking. So if I ask that question to myself, who are you in this very moment? Silence would come first.
Mm.
I would be probably silent for a while here. And I don't know who I am, but I know what I am.
Mm.
It's um, it's beyond experience. It's not an experience. What I am is it's limitless. Is the infinite. That's my spiritual view of what I am. So it might sound abstract to some people, but it's very real to me. I cannot be what I see, what I perceive, what I experience. So it's very clear that what I am, it's it holds experience. So it's just kind of the screen on the TV. So we turn the screen on, and we have all the movies playing. We can change the channels and experience joy. The feeling of joy, anger, or fear, whatever it is. But then if we have that knowledge that we are the screen which the movies are playing, then everything changes. It's a different let's say understanding, realization of life itself, this which we call life. So that's my view of myself, and I would love to leave it here at this, and not kind of label myself, although I did with the bio that you received, that you just read. That's what the experience of body mind does, but that's not ultimately what I am.
Mm. I love that. I don't think I've ever gotten that description before, but I love the notion of you separating our spiritual experience from our human experience,
Mm,
right? So we experience so much in our human experience.
yeah.
Um, we use you inside you, which it really
Mm,
means like our spiritual
yeah.
experience, like our inside, our true
Yeah.
self, our
Yeah.
soul, some people would call it,
Right.
which
Right.
is really the truth about who we are and what we're experiencing, but we're experiencing it through the human body, the other you, right? Where we
Mm.
have all the emotions and we have all our crazy thoughts, right? Yapping away in our heads all the time.
Yes.
Um, how
Mm.
you're a podcast host and you
Yes.
see
Yeah.
a lot of people on this journey
Yeah.
to find their inner voice, find their, inner power.
Mm.
What do you say is the biggest struggle that you see that women experience or see on this life journey?
Mm. Yes. Wow, that's a big one because has been, of course, my own experience too. Um, just going back a bit about the separation, it's not really separate. Like the screen is not separate from the movies, as we can imagine. It's just one unit, so everything, the movie playing in the screens there. So it's not separate. It's also like dreaming at night, and then all the experiences we have through dreams not separate from your mind. So it is mine. It's basically the realm of mine. So it's not. It feels like an experience, but it's really you happening. So I think that's the biggest challenge, Trina, really, that I had for so many years. I grew up in Brazil, and I come from a very abusive childhood, so I suffered a lot throughout my childhood, and then teenage years, and then adulthood, up to 38, so 37. I'm 47 now. So my biggest question was suffering. Why do we suffer? I had these fundamental questions, these big questions, and I didn't know how. I mean, I had no idea how to even get started, with the finding the answers. And then throughout my journey, I noticed that I was changing, making too many changes, one after another, so I could kind of I could rest somehow. But then you see, the I that I had in mind is really the body mind, because the mind was severely affected by trauma, and then of course that affected the body, and then the complex, the combination of both, they were just in deep suffering. So I was looking for chains that could accommodate, the body mind, and it could somehow get me to the destination of, what we call happiness, peace, joy, and all that. And then I found out that was a long story. I wrote a book about the Fit for Joy books about that. And then when I was, living in New York, and then by the age of 37, but before that, actually, I started to realize that I was making change to find something that I could not find out there. I would be actually making change for the rest of my life. If there was, my guiding post, if there was my guiding principle throughout life, if I kept that going. So at some point, I realized that I had to, the chains had to end, the external chains. And then I went within, in a sense, looking for a place within, trying to find exactly what the you inside you. I guess I was looking for that. And then in my case, it came through suicidal thinking. So that was really almost like the tipping point, depression, because I couldn't find anything else out there, to accommodate the body, mind, its wow, um, turbulations, I couldn't find a place. I was looking in relationships, not drugs. I never went for that, but dancing. I don't know, for looking for new friends or new clothes, new things to do. I was a fitness competitor, so all those things. And then at that point, I realized that was it. When I had suicidal thinking, and then that was it. And then insights came in, and then one of which was that I was exactly what I was looking for. So joy was not a place, was not a destination, was nothing to be found out there, but here. And not here in a sense of inside of the body mind, but something that actually it's transcendent, that's actually not beyond the body mind, but it holds the body mind. It overarches the body mind. It's almost like a mother holding a baby. Like you are a mother, you relate to that. Yeah, that makes me emotional because, yeah, isn't it amazing? I found that place, and then, which is not a placeless place, and then it was amazing. That really confirmed, and it was so clear to me at that point that joy was not something to be found out there, and that's what my website, my platform is called Fit for Joy, because I was already fit for it and had been, which is interesting. Even with all the trauma, I was already fit for joy. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges for not just women, but for everyone. It's just to realize that, wait a minute, it's already here. I am what I'm looking for. I'm already there. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. There's really this notion of
Yeah.
looking outside of yourself for that
Yeah. Yeah.
comfort, that fix. I love that
Yeah.
the analogy of a mother holding you, because
Yes.
isn't that
Yes.
the comfort that
Yeah.
most of us are just looking
Mm,
for when we really, really tap into our internal resources and we're truly connected?
mm. Yeah, that's
It
it.
feels, it's that
Yes.
unconditional love, right? We're just held. We're held
Yes.
by life. I get goosebumps just
Yeah, me
talking
too.
about
Yeah,
this,
me too. I
right?
got emotional. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yes.
And I know the tears are of joy and relief and celebration of
Mm.
life, because
Yeah.
that's all that you stand for, is like celebration of life, that you
Yes.
took charge, that you stepped into what you already knew, like what we already come
Mm. Mm.
here with, but we
Yes.
forget because we were raised by
Mm.
very misguided people,
Yes. Yes.
misguided souls that have not yet
Yeah.
found their own comfort or found the comfort within, the joy within.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would make different choices,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
And for the people that are
Yeah.
out there watching right now, I know you can relate to being brought up with caregivers or parents under circumstances that were just not as exciting. Like it felt like suffering or pain. Um, but from that place of suffering, as you call it, you know, feeling stuck
Mm.
in
Yeah.
thoughts that were not helpful,
Oh, yeah.
not really knowing that you had this joy, this
Right.
tap in plug
Yeah.
fixture inside of yourself
Yes.
where you can just turn that on.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, what was the most important steps for you to kind of get yourself unstuck and shifted from that?
Mm. Yes. Wow. To be open. So being
Mm,
open-hearted, open-minded. And that's when I made all those changes, like being in New York, and then I had the insight of Fit for Joy. So I took an invitation to go to France and write a book. That was my first book, and that was exactly because of that. Because it was something. You see, I can use metaphors because that's in the book too. It was so clear to me that in a way, something died. So because of that shift, I was
mhm,
open, I was listening. So because I listened to this message of being fit for joy, I mean, I really, with my whole being, something, I mean, I can only say it that way. My entire being, like, just paid attention to that message. And
mm,
then what came next was an interesting question. Um, Something said, the invitation was, okay, you're already dead. The one that was looking for joy out there, it couldn't find it. That one's already dead. But if you, as that woman again, could live again, could come back here and express yourself in this reality, what would you do? In a very playful way, the question was. And that was to write a book. So, and then I remember becoming so happy. I mean, my entire being said yes to that message, too, to
mm,
that invitation. And basic, Trina, was I think what she was trying to do was to write a book about how she died and how she lived after that. So it was almost like a third person type of thing. So I couldn't identify anymore with that woman who was completely mired in deep pain.
wow.
And then because that shift happened, I was open and I listened. Something he did. So the book was exactly about that, how she lived and how she died and how she moved on. So that
Mm,
that was the beginning of where I am today with that with this curiosity, for experience. I know I'm not experienced, so we are now, we are what we are, it's the infinite. So we are
mm,
not the finite. Anything that comes and goes, it's not to be attached to. It's
mm,
very, I mean, it sounds like so simple, right? In
Mm,
simple, a simple form of intelligence. You can't really, if you know the nature of your own being, being mind body, that will end at some point. So why would we hold on to it? I know some people believe in, different lifetimes that they will, the content of mind will move on, reincarnation, all that. And,
mm,
there are evidences, and that very much could be true, that we will move on when the body it's no longer here. Contents of the mind will continue on, and we might have all the experiences again in a new body, in a new planet, and who knows.
mhm,
But to me, it's still, from because I'm a student of Vedanta, and it was the only philosophy. It's a Hindu um, philosophy of knowledge. So it's a whole system that it's very scientific, from anybody's view, who anyone who is familiar with Vedanta. It's very scientific. So it's almost like
mm,
the perfect combination of spirit science and spirituality, because we look at what is as it is. We are not trying to cover reality. We're not trying to imagine reality, but or reimagine, or dream on. We are really interested in what is so simple, so obvious, that we miss it, that we're just
mm,
we are not able to understand even. And one of the principles, this one, that everything that is an experience will come and go, body, mind. So the attachment to it, to the belief that we are the body and mind only, or that we are the body mind period, that will create, that ultimately creates all the suffering that we
mm,
that we
mm,
will experience. You see, because suffering again is an experience. So it
mm,
belongs to the realm of experience, suffering.
mm.
So yeah, I don't know if I answer your question, but
Yeah. So the suffering that you're talking about, what what comes out of that? What do you believe that we as humans need suffering for? Is that what we come to Earth for? Like what do we use that for? Because you went through
mm,
a lot of hardship growing up. You had to use that for something. I think a lot of people use that to kind of propel one forward in a way. But what is your kind of personal um, perspective of what we use suffering for?
yes. That's an interesting question that I started with when I was really young, because growing up as a child, with child abuse, physical and emotional, that question was always within my heart and mind, because I needed to find. The question was, why is this happening? Why
Mhm.
are they attacking me, pretty much?
Yeah.
And people who are supposed to nurture you, parents.
Mhm.
So, and that just, I, of course, as a child, I could never understand that, or never come up with the answer. The only answer I really, the practical answer was just to move from that house as soon as I could,
Yes.
run, basically. And that's what I
Avoid
did.
it, run away,
Run.
get out
Yeah,
of here.
that's,
Yes.
that's it. So at the age of 17, I had to go, right? Then I got my high school diploma, and then I knew I could get a job
Yeah.
with that, and then I just moved. But yeah, going back to the wow, fundamental question, suffering. So suffering belongs again to the realm of experience. The more
Mhm.
we attach to experience, and we believe that the
Mhm.
only parts of us that will experience is body mind, memories. Even we think about the minds as sometimes it's not being an experience, that thoughts and memories and intuition, but all that's experience, dreams, all that imagination,
Mhm.
all of it. So that was my question. Why would a parent, parents, people are supposed to love you, hurt you so badly? And that was hurting me even more, even to
Mm.
trying to understand that. But and then I found out that it's very simple again. Once I really had language for it, because I was looking for systems, for spiritual systems and philosophies that could tap into those questions. The Buddha said, all this is suffering. So yes, of course, all this is suffering. But okay, the problem is, how do we end it, right?
Mhm.
What's the way? And you said, how can we make use of suffering? That's another question. How do you make meaning of suffering? That. Uh, the thing is, you can't, it doesn't make sense. You can't make sense of something that will never make sense.
Right.
I don't think we are here, or we come here in this dreamlike reality to suffer. I don't think we kind of almost like programming that before we come, the soul's
Right.
journey. I heard that too. And then we think about it, we just plan everything, do contracts, and then come back here to learn lessons and just go to all these suffering, horrible experiences to learn something. I
Yeah.
really don't, that doesn't make sense to me, Trina, I have to say.
Mm.
So, it doesn't make sense. You can't really make sense, make meaning of something that only knowledge, only the realization of what you are can, per se, what's the word that I can use for that? Can dissolve the question even. We can,
Mm.
because it's a question that I don't ask anymore. I
Mhm.
stopped long once
Mhm.
I understood that question dissolved. And then now it's if you want to put words to it, in Vedanta they say it's ignorance and not knowing what we are. When I started this, if you are limitless, if you are the infinite, what are you doing here as a finite? Why why would you choose that if you knew you could be the infinite, which we are?
Yeah.
Why would we attach and believe and want to be a finite, something
Mm.
that comes and goes? If we see smoke, like it seems like most of us love the idea of being the smoke, but you're not interested in fire. I
Mm.
want to know the source of smoke. I want to
Mm.
know what if the source of fire. I want to go deep as I can go intellectually. Of
Yeah.
course, the application of the intellectual understanding, their realization into the body mind, the integration of that realization, it's a process, because now you know that. So how can you bring the infinite to the finite? How can you?
Mhm.
Now you can't anyway, but how can you? Because you're already there. It's impossible to make something that's already. You can't, like I heard before, you can't fly to New York if you're already in New York. You cannot get a plane to New York. You
That's a
can't,
good
right?
point.
Because you're
Yeah.
already there.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You're already there. So now it becomes, to me, playful. That's what joy really, the
Ah.
lightness of being
Mm.
here. And it's
Mhm.
amazing to just look at you like, who is this? What in the
Yeah.
body mind, because you
Right.
have your own experience. The body mind is basically experience full. So it's now it has this imprint. It looks like a person, but I know that nothing really is what it seems to be, by looking with the human eyes, with the sense perception. So
Mm.
I look at everything as the infinite. That practice really. I go to sleep and wake up with that reflection, contemplation of this being the infinite, already here, being just kind of, it's God's dream. So God is dreaming. So it's everything's made out of God. And if everything's made out of God, of pure consciousness, why do we suffer?
Mm.
I don't think suffer would. There's no place for suffering really. If when once we know that,
Mm.
it's a knowledge thing. But then of course there's the integration, which is a different conversation.
Yeah. So it's not really that suffering needs to exist
Mm.
to make joy happen. It is really
Mm.
more the detachment that you're talking about from the experience, that human experience, in a way of really, it's almost like a choice.
Mm.
But the choice is hard
Yeah,
to see sometimes when that veil
yeah,
is over you. So like for women
right,
out there right
right,
now that may feel really stuck in a relationship, or like on the way out of a relationship, we
right,
have a lot of women that we serve that are in maybe unhealthy relationships, or kind of on the way out, or have gone through a divorce or a breakup
yeah,
in a relationship. This sense of having
yeah,
felt maybe stuck, or they're on a journey and the relationship didn't quite work out the way that we had intended it
oh
to
yeah,
do. Like, I didn't see myself as divorced, but as I grew in my personal journey and I chose that path of detachment
Yeah.
and higher consciousness, that I couldn't take certain people with me
Right.
to that next level.
Mm. Yeah.
What is your
Yeah. Yeah.
advice for people to kind of, I guess, find themselves again and
Mm.
cultivate this, maybe the detachment, because you kind of feeling pretty yucky, maybe feeling very guilty
Yeah.
about what you're standing, because now you're affecting other people as well, right? It's not just
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
journey, it's the people around us that we sometimes
Right.
affect. There may be a loss, like you talked about
Yeah.
before, a loss of not just yourself and your old life,
Yeah.
but maybe actually loss of a connection.
Yeah.
From your kind of framework of detachment and stepping into joy, like
Yeah.
how do you get there? What's the next step?
Mm. Yes. I don't know if I would call it detachment
Mm,
because, yeah, I'm not detached from anything. If nothing else, you become actually, there's no gap between the infinite and the finite. So
mm,
it's so close that now you see everything as, I mean, you just can't help it but kind of accept. There's a sense of a level of acceptance, one from
mm,
the body mind. And then in the sense of peace comes into that, I guess a sense of trust too. But more than that is the desire for truth. So that has been always my guide. I would have different names because I didn't know what to call it. And I call it happiness. And now I want to be happy.
I
And then I wanted to be at peace. And then
yeah,
now I want to feel fulfilled, have a purpose and all this.
yeah,
But now, once you once you become open to truth, then something happens where that gap kind of closes and you're much closer to what you supposed to be experiencing here. If there's such a thing as an experience of the infinite and the finite, then would be that, again, that realization that you're already what you're looking for.
uh,
So that's my mantra, really, Trina.
mm,
Every time I feel like these days, the body mind, the body rarely feels, let's say, sick. It has been almost 20 years. I don't get sick often, but sometimes the immune system drops a bit, and it's so easy for me to kind of rest in that instead of fighting, or instead of trying to look for a change immediately. The fear, kind of becoming afraid of it. It's almost like becoming afraid of oneself. I heard that before. Yeah, I heard that in a beautiful way, right? That's exactly it. It seems like we're afraid of ourselves. So that's why we don't get closer and closer and closer to experience. So the interesting thing that sounds like a paradox is that we are not experience, but the more we um, kind of realize that we are not, the closer we get, the more, like, again, that picture of a mother holding a baby. You feel
mm,
like that in this body mind, which is finite. And I know I'm not this, but it feels like that.
mm,
So I analyze that. It's the knowledge, it's the knowing that I am already what I'm looking for, that this is already God's dreams.
mm,
And there's nothing I can add or remove from it. This is
mm,
it. And you
mm,
can call it destiny. I don't know, some people call it, I have heard that too. So I do what I do because it's the habitual, right? The body
yeah,
mind has been programmed.
mm-hmm,
If I became a pilot, maybe it would have been like, wow, that's refreshing. I was never programmed to become a pilot, but can you imagine if I did? So that would have been very strange in a way. It's almost like, wow, how can you come from where you come from and become something almost like, oh, a scientist, I don't know, or do something. So I can't, the body mind can't really help but do what it does. And that's something
mm,
that the closer we get to that truth of what we are, the more we kind of cuddle, in that
Mm.
In that truth that this is it already too, and
Mm.
that's beautiful. You just kind of hold it as part of the whole, and you don't push it
Mm.
away anymore. So it's not a detachment.
Mm.
It's actually quite the opposite. You become
Yeah. So it's not really about the dualities, right? It's more
right.
about the flow and the openness of what is. Like we can tap into either
Mm,
experience at any moment,
yeah.
but what you're saying is really just the leaning into that trust in yourself, leaning into that trust in you or in life. What is the trust in?
Yeah, it's actually I used to think that way too. You see, because it's language, we're using language, and that's so not yeah, it's not helpful. I have to tell you, it's not helpful at all. So, but it's, of course, it's beyond trust, is beyond all that.
Yeah.
It's truth. It's once you find, let's say, if you were the sun, would you be looking for light? No, because you already have all the
Yeah.
light. I mean, you wouldn't be looking for something else, right? To
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to light you up, because you are the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth would is, if somebody, if you just came across a ball of fire, looking to be warmed up, find more warmth somewhere, you would probably say that, wait a minute, I don't think you need that. I don't think you need more light, more warmth. You already
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
It's so that would be interesting, because it doesn't happen in the natural world. Do you see that doesn't happen with this other expression of life itself? The sun, for example, the moon, and you see, earth itself. They are just very much into that full acceptance of what they are,
Mm.
and they really, but even animals, you see them too, the way they die, they live and
Mm.
die. They are constantly in contact with that infinite, with that
Mm.
truth. So
Mm.
it's there's no such a thing as God here and there, and they are here. They are one with God. They're one with
Mm.
pure consciousness. They're one with the infinite, with the limitless.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's why we see them. We seem to be very different than
Yeah.
in expression. So with humans, I don't know uh, why this had to be this way, but who knows? But we have this tendency of separating ourselves
Yeah.
from, right. And then now I have to create a God so I can trust that God, so I can follow that God in order to feel that warmth, of that hold, that cuddled
Yes.
by life itself. So it's
Yeah.
not. I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers
No,
your
it
question.
makes a lot of sense. And I think that is the sense of feeling, lost and stuck, because it really is just
Mm,
an experience,
yeah, yeah.
it's not real in that sense, but we're experiencing that in that moment. So
Well,
leaning into the
I like to say the line. So that
the connection is
is
not.
real as long as it lasts. So it is real, Trina. The experience we are having right now, it is.
Yes.
But the catch is, as long as it lasts. Like this conversation, it's real as long as it lasts.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between what is, let's say, real, we call the absolute reality, and the
Mm,
relative reality. So
mm,
like dreaming at night seems to be
mm,
real. The dream is real as long as it
mhm.
lasts. If we actually continue to dream on at night, we will believe that that's real.
Yeah.
That's our new reality.
Right.
So this is real as long as it lasts, and that's why it's a sub reality, and it's not
Mm,
the absolute reality. The
mhm,
sub the absolute reality won't have layers, so it's just
mhm.
one. It can be, obviously cannot be explained with language. The only way, like I said, is silence. So
Mm,
it's no experience, not having any experience,
mhm.
which would be, a lot of people ask that question, like, what is, why do I have to have this experience? Again, that question about suffering.
Yes.
Why do I
Why
have
is
to
this
be stuck?
happening?
Why do I have to
Yes.
be stuck? Why do I have to
Yes.
all this?
Right.
I didn't ask for it. I
Right.
didn't. that's the thing. I think that's where we have to go deeper. We
Yeah.
have been ignorant for lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
It has to, I mean, it has to be. We have been kind of almost like roaming, from lifetime to lifetime, or who knows what else is happening, different planets.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? We've been out there with our minds, kind of
Mm,
believed that we are the mind. So that's why we have lost ourselves, and we do feel lost a lot of times,
mm,
because we are in the realm of mind and body, and they
mm,
are by nature, they are part of nature, they are part of this realm, they're finite. So the more we kind of cling to them for permanent results, or
mm.
permanent anything, of course we're gonna always come out. What do you say here? Short-handed, I
Mhm,
think is the expression.
mhm.
The most you would say,
Asking,
yeah,
asking
right.
the Brazil, the Dan to the Danish person about the American expression. I'm like, I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, you're like,
I
okay,
don't know, Valeria.
okay.
ask ask somebody
Okay,
from here.
yes.
But I've heard that
So yeah,
term
I'm gonna look
before.
somebody else, right? I
I
mean,
love
basically, yeah,
language, right?
yeah, we'll be. You see, because we are looking for permanence. We are looking for the infinite and the finite. So we can't.
Mm,
It's almost. I mean, it's impossible. It's
mhm.
obviously impossible.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
needed to really tap into the what we are,
Mhm.
kind of inquire into that.
Mm,
So the main thing, what the you know the what the practices that I engage in, which is that will lead you, anyone, to the realization of what you are. But of course, it takes practice. It takes, yeah, I have been doing this for the last 15 years. So
yeah.
every day, going to sleep, waking up, contemplating, meditating, reflecting
Yeah.
on one thing only. I
Mm,
am already what I'm looking for.
mm. I
So
am.
it changed everything.
Yeah.
That's the mantra. That's really the practice. Knowing that you're already God per se. Some people might not like hearing that, because again,
Mm,
it's the resistance. I want a God to be there, and I'm
mm,
here. So the devotional path, which it is
mm.
a path to higher understanding, to realization too. Of course, if all path will lead us to the same
Mm,
destination. That's that let's say placeless place of the infinite.
mm.
But
That's a
but yes,
beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful mantra, really. I
yeah,
think that's an inspiration to all of us,
yeah.
true inspiration to all of us, to continuously be reminded as human beings on this journey, connecting deeply, going deeper, which
Yes.
in the essence for me, going deeper for me is really
Yeah.
stepping into that truth,
Mm,
that I
yeah.
am, where
Yes.
duality really doesn't exist. It just
Right.
is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it exists actually. Yeah.
We
Duality
just
will
kind of
exist.
flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duality, it's here. You can't
Yes.
really push away, because that
Oh
would be
no.
another resistance, right? But
Right.
but knowing that this is nothing but you anyway. So you're not
Right.
afraid of it. There's no fear, because there's pain, stuckness, all that's nothing but
Hmm.
you. So
Yes.
it's, everything that I have done before. Some people call karma. I would say destiny. Everything that the mind
Hmm.
has been programmed to do, the body, it's just coming. It comes to fruition. It comes to it becomes something. It solidifies itself into
Mm.
something to know. So then there's a huge level of acceptance, I would say, when you come to realize that you are what you're looking for. Then you just rest again in that, what you would call duality. But that also exists. It's not, it is real, but I would say half real. But it's here. So it's like, I call it the dance, and you're
Mm.
not really, um, in truth, you're not taking it seriously. You don't take it seriously when it comes to experience. Of course, what the work I do, as you can see, the work you do has to do with the destiny again. It's trying to kind of pass this knowledge on. Some of
Mhm.
this, but I have no idea why it's doing that.
Mm.
I don't think it's a choice, Trina. I really don't think it's a choice. It's a
Mm.
choiceless choice. It's a destiny thing. So
Mm.
it does what it does, and you just watch it, and you're just like, interesting. And
Yes.
yeah,
So just watching, observing, accepting,
yes,
and what you just said about don't take it seriously.
right.
I mean, my
Yeah.
mind just like blew open. I don't think I've heard it that way before, because I
Yes.
am also so much about getting to play.
Mm.
Louise and I want to make these like journey in life fun. We want to celebrate. We want
Yes.
to accept, you
Yeah.
know, joy,
Yeah.
sadness. I mean, all of it is just,
Right.
it just is. And it's
An
okay.
experience.
There's nothing bad about it.
Mm.
There just
Mm.
is, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And don't take it seriously. I love that, because
Yes.
and I hope
Yeah,
people can
cute.
understand what we mean
I
with
love
that.
that too.
It really goes back to what you're talking about, that nothing is really permanent in that sense.
Right. Right.
Like, you feel sad in
Right.
this moment, and
Mm.
soon you will feel something different, right? It's
Right.
not permanent.
Right.
Everything is temporary. Everything is in flow.
Yes.
Everything
That's it.
changes, right?
Yes.
And
That's the
so
realm of mind
if
and the
we can
body. Yeah.
stop taking it so
Mm.
seriously, if we're
Yes.
coming out of a breakup, or if we've made a mistake, or we've hurt people somehow, or we've
Right.
engaged in behaviors that other people
Mm.
got hurt by,
Mm. Right.
reframe. Um,
Right.
it's okay. Like, everything is
Mm.
temporary, and
Mm.
you can kind of choose to shift things in a different direction. So really just accepting, not taking
Yeah.
things so seriously. Oh, I
Yes.
just love
Yes.
ending on that, Valeria. That's
Yes.
just such a beautiful
Yes. Thank you.
message. Oh, this
Just
dance,
dance.
Valeria.
Just dance. Yes. Just
Thank
dance.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
with
you.
me
Yeah.
today. It's
Thank you,
really been a
Trina.
true honor.
Thank you.
Words of wisdom, your busy life. I can't wait to hear more about what you got coming up,
Yes.
retreats.
Yes.
Do you have more books cooking, or?
Yes. Yes. I'm
Okay,
planning to
of
write a
course
new
you
book,
do.
but I don't know when. Yeah. I have
Okay,
no idea when it will come out.
so
But
you
yeah.
guys have to watch out for
Yep.
Valeria's
Yep.
new upcoming stuff. We'll put
Yeah.
some links on here that you can click on if you want to find Valeria, and her beautiful message on her podcast is really what brought us together. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Trina. Thank you. Thank you. Bye for now, my dear.